Good day, everyone. This is Mark Vello, and you're listening to Headline News. Biden's CIA nominee said to have close ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Biden's nominee to head the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, William Burns, was heard by the Senate Intelligence Committee on Wednesday, February 24th. Some senators questioned the close ties between the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, of which Burns is president, and the Chinese Communist Party. At Wednesday's hearing, Senator Marco Rubio said the Carnegie Peace Foundation has cooperated with the CCP on a number of issues and has received donations from the China-U.S. Exchange Foundation, CUSEF, funded by Tung Chi-hua. The Daily Caller recently reported that Burns's foundation has received as much as $2 million in donations from the Chinese Communist Party in recent years, including funds from CUSEF. CUSEF has long been named by the U.S. China Economic and Security Review Commission, USCC, a standing body of the U.S. Congress, as a Chinese Communist Party United Front organization. Rubio also questioned during the hearing that the Carnegie Foundation had worked with the Aspen Institute to organize a trip to China for 11 congressional aides, during which they met with members of the CCP's United Front agencies. In addition, the foundation has partnered with the Tsinghua University to establish the Tsinghua Carnegie Center for Global Policy. And Tsinghua University has long been identified by U.S. agencies as posing a serious threat to the West in areas such as military industry and cyber. And the partnership between the Carnegie Foundation and the globalization think tank, CCG, has been questioned by the senator. When confronted with questions, Burns explained that he had put an end to his relationship with the Chinese Communist Party after becoming president of Carnegie. He added, "Precisely for the concerns that you just described, we were increasingly worried about the expansion of Chinese influence operations." In the Senate hearing, Burns said that once he takes office as CIA director, he will make confronting the threat from China one of his top priorities. Burns said, "There are a growing number of areas in which Xi's China is a formidable authoritarian adversary. China is working to methodically strengthen its capabilities to steal intellectual property, repress its own people, bully its neighbors, expand its global reach, and build influence in American society." He also said that if the U.S. is to beat the CCP in competition, it will take a bipartisan long-term strategy to get there. He argued that competition with the CCP is key to U.S. national security, and that an adversarial, predatory Chinese leadership poses our biggest geopolitical test. Burns, at 64, is a career diplomat who served in 5 administrations: Reagan, Bush Sr., Bush Jr., Clinton, and Obama. He has served as U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Assistant Secretary of State, and Undersecretary of State. During the Obama administration, he served as Deputy Secretary of State from 2011 to 2014. Since leaving office, he has served as president of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. During his tenure as Deputy Secretary of State, Burns made several trips to Beijing on behalf of the U.S. to consult with Beijing on issues such as Iran, Afghanistan, and Russia. He was the U.S. lead for the U.S.-China Strategic Security Dialogue and also met with then Chinese Communist Party Vice President Li Yuanchao in Beijing. Once Burns's nomination is approved, Biden's national security team officials will be largely in place, including Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, and Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines. According to media analysis, the Biden administration's China policy team is composed of members with conflicting views, and there are still question marks about how they will work together and whether they can come up with a unified policy on China. At the same time, there are also concerns about whether the Biden administration will continue the Trump administration's hardline policy toward the Chinese Communist Party. Biden signs executive order to strengthen the supply chain of key products such as semiconductors. U.S. President Joe Biden signed an executive order on the 24th to review the global supply chains of four key products: semiconductors, high-capacity batteries for electric vehicles, key minerals and materials such as rare earth, and pharmaceuticals, with the aim of addressing shortages impacting key industries as well as reliance on a foreign country. The shortage of semiconductors, also known as chips, has forced U.S. automakers and other manufacturing industries to cut production. Biden signed an executive order on the 24th calling for a 100-day review of the supply chain of four key products and a one-year review of six sectors: defense, public health, communications technology, transportation, energy, and food production. Biden said at a press conference prior to signing the executive order, "We shouldn't have to rely on a foreign country, especially one that doesn't share our interests or our values, in order to protect and provide our people during a national emergency." He also said, "The best way to do that is by protecting and sharpening America's competitive edge by investing here at home." However, Biden also admits that the executive order cannot immediately solve the problem of chip shortage. For this reason, the United States is also approaching allies and partners to increase production. In addition to chips, the U.S. currently relies on imports from China for 85% of its rare earths and 90% of its medical supplies. Former U.S. President Donald Trump's administration has warned that heavy reliance on China for critical supplies would pose a national security threat. To address this issue, according to the executive order, Washington will seek cooperation with Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea on chips, and with Asia-Pacific economies, including Australia, on rare earths. Peter Harrell, Senior Director of International Economics and Competitiveness at the White House National Security Council, explained the contents of the executive order at a press conference. When he was asked whether Taiwan had accepted the U.S. request for assistance in increasing chip supply, he said that Taiwan is an important partner of the United States and that the U.S. has engaged in constructive dialogue with Taiwan. Russian scientist. Now the world is not warming, but cooling. In recent decades, global warming has become a hot topic closely related to environmental issues. For his part, oceanographer Marashov, a member of the Russian Academy of Sciences and scientific director of the South Scientific Center of the Russian Academy of Sciences, believes that the globe is not warming, but cooling. He also believes that the Earth's climate is cyclical and that the warming cycle has now ended and is entering a cooling cycle. Gennady Matishov said in an interview with a Russian newspaper on Tuesday, February 23rd, that it is not global warming, but the little ice age that awaits mankind. Matishov said he had been in the Arctic since 1965. Matishov added that Arctic temperatures have indeed risen slightly recently, and because of this, some people believe that the global climate is warming. To understand climate change trends, you need to analyze at least 100 years of data, not just focus on events that have occurred in the last year or two, he noted. According to Matishov, the warm cycle in which Arctic temperatures were on the rise has ended and the climate has shifted to a cold cycle. In the last 15 years, Taganrog Bay has been covered with ice for an average of 54 days a year. For the southern region, 54 days covered with snow is too long a period, which is closer to a colder climate, said Matishov. According to Matishov, climate change is cyclical and humans are becoming witnesses to the beginning of a new ice age. In arguing that the Earth's climate is cyclical, he gave two examples of historical events. In 1878, Swedish naval captain Louis Penrandall, a Finnish national, led an international expedition of 30 men, including Russian, Danish, and Italian naval personnel, on 4 ships, including the Vega or Bera, to cross the Arctic route in winter. The expedition had successfully crossed the entire Arctic route. They didn't say that the Earth was warming either, Matishov said. In 1933, a Soviet expedition crossed the entire Arctic route on the ship Chelyuskin, which did not have full ice-breaking capabilities, and passed through the Kola Bay, which is located in the Arctic Circle. According to Matishov, we are heading towards a little ice age, but it will come in a few thousand years. This change is not perceived in human life. He said that cold winters, droughts, fires, and heavy precipitation in the European part of Russia are all evidence that a new period of life on our planet is coming, a period of global cooling. He noted that last year's unusually warm winter in central Russia did not indicate global warming, because at that time it was very cold in North America and there was snowfall in the Middle East. According to Matishov, the Antarctic ice sheet contains 92% of all ice on the land. If this cold kingdom starts to really melt, then we can talk about unforeseen warming. The water level of the world's oceans will rise by 60 meters, etc. However, he then pointed out that the Antarctic is a very stable system, the reasons for which remain to be seen, but stability is a fact. This concludes tonight's broadcast. Thank you for your time, and stay tuned for the next headline news.